Anke Green may not be known to you, but he'll be known to you after that. He is in Sweden, Pentecostal pastor, small town, 3,000. He preached a sermon one Sunday from Romans chapter 1. Got listed in the newspaper. He got arrested, tried. He lost in court. It went to appeal. They decided in his favor in the appeal. The prosecution took it to the High Court of Sweden. They decided against him and sentenced him to 1 month in jail for preaching on homosexuality, for offending homosexuals. That's the word they use. The only reason he didn't have to serve his time is because Sweden had joined the European Union. The European Union did not have exactly the same laws, and they knew if it would go to the European Union High Court that they would overturn it and kind of bring embarrassment to Sweden. So they backed away from enforcing it, yet they left it as guilty on the books. He's going to be over here from Sweden, tell the story. David Tanya Parker will be with us. How many know who they are? I need to email you. I need to email to you. And you can email. Our goal is to get 1 million hits on this one video clip, 4 minutes long, of David and Tanya Parker. They were on our last simulcast. You need to hear them. They're going to be on our next one. Those people who tell you that same-sex marriage does not affect the way your child is taught in school, lie. Because where same-sex marriage is legal in Massachusetts, where they also have the same opt-out policies that we have in California, what happened when Dave Parker went to school, when his kindergartner came home with a book entitled King and King, where two princes can get married, and the last picture is them kissing each other, these two boys. He went, he says, I don't want my child learning that. When you teach that, you let me know, and we opt out our child. I said, no. He came back again. He says, you tell me when you're going to teach that. I said, no, we won't. It's legal in this state, so we don't have to tell you anything about you opting out your kid. He says, I'm going to sit here until you tell me. They called the cops, they handcuffed him, took him to jail. Jesus. He went to trial, he lost. Appeal, he lost. And last week, the Supreme Court of the United States declined their application and will not be hearing the case. And the ruling of the judge is, when you deliver your child across the threshold of the public school, your rights as a parent end there. This is coming here. Now, you need to know who David and Tanya Parker are. They're going to be at that simulcast. Be somewhere where you can watch it. Or come down to Skyline. October the 15th. Go to the closest place. There's 170 locations across the state. We're here. Go to protectmarriageca.com and it'll list all these places. And I need to email this to you. So you can email. We want over 125,000 people in California have seen that. Clicked on it the last few days. We want to get to 1 million people to tell the story. This is what is coming ahead for us. The Worthington family, same situation back in Massachusetts. These are people like you and me who don't want their kids learning this, and they're paying a dear price. I just got home an hour talking this morning with Elaine Huguenin. Elaine Huguenin is a 25-year-old photographer, female, husband just retired from the military, 8 years in the military. And she was asked to photograph some lesbians. She said, I have no problem, I'll photograph you as individuals, but I will not cover your civil union or your celebration service, I guess they call it. I will not do that. Because it would say I'm supportive of it. I cannot. New Mexico is one of the states that doesn't even have civil unions or domestic partnerships. But in spite of that, the Department of Labor ruled against him and fined this young girl $7,000 for refusing to take pictures. You get the picture. I need to finish the sentence. She's going to be with us. Bob Tyler is going to be at this event. The two doctors cannot come themselves, but right here in your community, here in North County, in this area of the state, two physicians refused to artificially inseminate a woman because she was unmarried. That's the reason they have a policy. If you don't have a husband, we won't artificially inseminate you. She had to be lesbian. She took that to the courts, all the way to the Supreme Court. You know what happened 7 weeks ago today. They lost in the Supreme Court. And the ruling was that professionals do not have the right to refuse services on biblical grounds. Let me repeat that. Professionals do not have the right to refuse services on religious grounds. That's doctors. Let's take out the word doctors and put in the word. One reporter from the LA Times said, yeah, but yours is a free speech issue. I said, no, I perform services. They're called weddings. I don't have the right, technically, as a professional. You get the picture. When those four judges did the ruling, have you read the ruling? 121 pages long. On page 117, one paragraph says, guys like you, women like you, people who care about biblical things do not have to perform a homosexual wedding against their will. There's two problems with that. Number one is what's called a dictum in legal terminology. It has no weight on the case because the trial was not about whether or not you would have to perform those weddings. It was about whether homosexuals could get married to each other. And secondly, the same 4 judges that gave that right to you can... We have 21 days watching the unraveling of Western civilization. The eyes of the world. If you understood what's at stake in the next 21 days, you fully understand it, with the single exception of medical reasons. There are some people who medically cannot fast. My wife is one of them. She's recovering from an enormous bout with cancer, over 100 tumors removed a year ago. It's not about it. Some of you, for medical reasons, cannot fast fully. But except for you, if you understood what's coming, that's not to guilt you, but it is to call you in passion. And we can see what's at stake. Lou Engle sitting in Cairo, Egypt, with his buddy Thomas Hall, talking to a man who's been persecuted severely by radical Islam. He sits there talking to this guy, and this man in Egypt, in Cairo, Egypt, says, the eyes of the world are on California in Proposition 80. Because if they fail there, it will release upon this planet a spirit considerably worse than what we have faced here. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling you to boldness. I'm not calling you to a spirit of argumentation, but I'm calling you to boldness. To stand up. It's a hostile world. I have never received the kind of emails I'm getting now. They're not fun. I've never had that security inside my house, my church, walking around with me like I've had these last few days. I don't like this. If I could, in fact, I said on October the 16th, I said, I'm not going to lead this. My wife is ill. Someone else is going to lead this. And I called the pastor. I said, you're the one to lead it. I think you're the one. The anointing's upon you. You're the guy. I tried to shove it off a number of times. You can't shove it off of you either. This is not a volunteer. Hey, I'll volunteer. This is you've been drafted by the Spirit of God. All right. You've been scripted. This is not a choice, people. If you're in with Jesus, you've got to be in on this thing. You have to be bold. You have to run towards the roar of the lion.